Picture this. You are sitting somewhere ordinary. Kitchen table, commute home, lunch break at your desk. And you open your investment account like you have done 100 times before, expecting to feel the same mild combination of hope and mild anxiety you always feel when you check it. And then you see it. 6 figures. For the first time. Your own money. In an account with your name on it. And something happens in that moment that nobody warned you about. Not the feeling you expected. Not the celebration you planned in your head years ago when you first started putting money away. Something quieter than that. Something that feels less like arriving somewhere and more like something shifting underneath you. Like the ground changed and you were only just now noticing. Most people spend years trying to get to $100,000. They track every contribution. They watch the account crawl toward the number through corrections and good months and months where the market does something inexplicable, and they try not to look too closely. And when they finally get there, most of them have no idea what actually just happened, because the number is not the thing. The number is just the visible part. What actually happens when you cross $100,000 is happening underneath the surface, in the math, in your brain, in how money itself starts behaving differently around you. My name is Jack. I am 56 years old, and I have watched people cross this threshold more times than I can count over the years. I have watched what it does to their finances, their careers, their decisions, and their sense of what is actually possible for them. Stay until the end because there is one thing on this list that has nothing to do with money at all, and it might be the most important shift of everything I'm about to cover. Subscribe and hit the thumbs up if you are either working toward this number or you recently hit it and want to understand what just changed. Quick note, I am not a financial advisor, and nothing here is financial advice. One honest thing before we start. $100,000 does not make you wealthy, not even close. If you crossed this number recently and you are waiting for the feeling of financial freedom to arrive, it is not coming yet. What $100,000 actually does is more specific and more interesting than that. It changes the structure of how your money behaves. It changes what options exist for you. It changes your relationship with risk in a way that cannot be undone. And it changes something in your brain that research in financial psychology has been documenting for decades. The number is a threshold, not a destination. What matters is understanding exactly what crossed with you. Number 1, compound interest stops being a concept and becomes a fact you can see. Every personal finance book ever written talks about compound interest. Every financial advisor mentions it. You have heard it explained with charts and graphs and examples about pennies doubling every day for a month. And for most people, for most of their financial lives, compound interest is something they understand intellectually and feel almost nothing about practically. Because when your account has $8,000 in it, an 8% annual return generates $640, which is real money. But it does not feel like compound interest working. It feels like a moderate accomplishment that took a year to materialize. $100,000 at 8% annually generates $8,000 in a single year, without you doing anything, without an extra contribution, without a particularly good market, just the math running on a larger base. $8,000 that arrived because the money you already had was working on your behalf while you went about your normal life. That is the moment compound interest stops being a lesson and becomes something you experience. And once you experience it, your entire relationship with money changes direction. You stop thinking primarily about how much you earn. You start thinking about how large a base you are compounding from. These are fundamentally different financial orientations, and crossing $100,000 is almost always what triggers the shift from the first to the second. Number 2, your risk tolerance permanently recalibrates, but not in the direction most people expect. Most people assume that having more money makes you more conservative, more protective, more anxious about losing what you have built. Research consistently shows the opposite. People with established investment bases above $100,000 demonstrate significantly higher tolerance for short-term market volatility than people with lower balances. Not because wealthy people care less about money, because they understand something that people without a base cannot fully internalize until they experience it. Losses are temporary. Time corrects them. But the cost of being too conservative with money is permanent. Every year you hold cash instead of invested assets is a year of compounding you will never get back. The person with $100,000 in index funds who watches a correction take it down to $78,000 does not panic the way someone with $8,000 watching it drop to $6,200 panics. Not because the percentage loss is different, because the person with the established base has lived through enough cycles to understand viscerally that the number comes back. The person who has never built a base yet has no experience to draw on, only fear. This recalibration is permanent. People who cross 100,000 and then lose significant portions to a correction do not retreat to cash. They buy more. The experience of watching a base recover teaches something no book can fully communicate in advance. Number 3, every price tag you see for the rest of your life gets a second number underneath it that was never there before. This is not a decision you make. It is a perception that changes permanently and without warning. When you have $100,000 compounding at 8% annually, something shifts in how your brain processes the cost of things. You stop seeing prices as dollar amounts. You start seeing them as compounding returns you are permanently giving up. And once that second number appears underneath every price tag, it never goes away. Here's what that looks like concretely. A $25,000 car is not $25,000 to someone with a base invested. It is $25,000 plus the $114,000 that amount would have become in 20 years at 8%. The sticker price is the small number. The opportunity cost is the real number, 4 times larger than what is printed on the tag. This does not mean you stop buying things. It means every significant purchase now triggers a second conversation automatically that you cannot turn off. Is this worth $114,000 in 20 years to me? Sometimes the answer is genuinely yes. A purchase that improves your health or earning potential has its own compounding value. But a car sitting in a driveway impressing people whose opinions do not affect your life, that calculation looks completely different when both numbers are visible. The people who build real wealth almost universally describe this not as deprivation, but as clarity. You need less discipline after this shift. The math does the convincing on its own. Here's what nobody tells you about the first 3 shifts happening simultaneously. Compound interest generating real visible returns. Risk tolerance recalibrating so you stay invested through corrections instead of panic selling at the worst moment. And your price perception permanently changed so every significant purchase now gets filtered through a lens that did not exist before. These 3 things working together do not just give you more money. They give you a fundamentally different relationship with every financial decision you will make from this point forward. The people who understand this in the weeks after crossing $100,000 behave completely differently from the people who hit the number, feel good, and go back to doing exactly what they were doing before. Number 4, your income starts to matter less than your allocation. This one takes people by surprise every time I explain it. For most of your financial life, income is the primary variable. Earn more, save more, build faster. The relationship is almost linear. Every dollar you earn has the potential to become a dollar saved, a dollar invested, a dollar compounding. Income growth is the engine. At $100,000, a second engine turns on, and it is not linear. Your base is generating 8% annually. You are producing $8,000 in returns from existing capital. A person saving 20% of a $40,000 income is also adding $8,000 per year. The two engines are now the same size. And as the base grows, the investment engine gets larger while the savings rate stays roughly the same. Eventually, and this happens faster than most people expect, the investment engine overtakes the savings engine entirely. Your money is making more money annually than you are saving from your paycheck. That is the moment income optimization becomes secondary to allocation optimization. Not because income stops mattering, because the return on improving your allocation now exceeds the return on chasing the next raise. This is a completely different financial life, and most people never realize the shift happened because nobody told them to look for it. Number 5, a specific kind of financial anxiety quietly disappears. There is a precise cognitive load that comes with living without a financial base. Researchers at Princeton documented that financial scarcity consumes cognitive bandwidth in a measurable way, equivalent in some studies to losing a full night of sleep in terms of mental performance. Every financial decision made without a safety net requires more processing, more anxiety. The brain runs a background program called "What Happens If Something Goes Wrong?" And that program runs constantly when there is nothing underneath you to absorb a shock. $100,000 does not make you immune to financial stress, but the specific anxiety of having no buffer, the low-grade, constant hum of financial vulnerability that most people have lived with so long they mistake it for their personality, that largely disappears. And the cognitive bandwidth it was consuming becomes available for better decisions, clearer thinking, and the ability to weigh options instead of just reacting to whatever the current pressure demands. A woman I know spent the better part of her 30s living on an income that was technically sufficient but never felt like it. Graphic designer, freelance work supplementing a part-time studio job. She told me once that money stress was so constant in that period that she genuinely could not tell where the financial anxiety ended and where she began. She crossed $100,000 in her early 40s after 4 years of aggressive saving and consistent investing, during a period when she had taken a full-time position with stable income. She described the weeks after crossing that number as genuinely disorienting. Not because anything dramatic changed externally, because a background noise she had lived with for so long she stopped hearing it simply went quiet. She said it felt like taking off shoes she had forgotten she was wearing. She has not been the same investor since, not because she has more money, because she is thinking with a different brain. Number 6, you stop chasing money and money starts following you. This is the one that sounds like something you would read on a motivational calendar and dismiss immediately. So let me be specific about what I actually mean, because it has nothing to do with the universe sending you checks. When you have no financial base, you negotiate from desperation. You take jobs because you need them, not because they are right. You accept terms because you cannot afford to walk away. You stay in situations longer than you should because leaving feels too financially dangerous. This desperation is invisible to most people experiencing it because it feels like being responsible and practical. But it operates constantly in the background of every career decision, every negotiation, every professional relationship. At $100,000, something shifts in how you carry yourself in professional situations. Not because you have become arrogant or reckless, because you know you can absorb a period of transition if you need to. You can say no to something that is wrong for you. You can walk away from a negotiation that is not respecting your value. You can take a calculated risk on an opportunity that would have been impossible to consider without a base underneath you. And here is what nobody tells you about what happens when you negotiate from that position. You get better outcomes, consistently. Across every category of professional, decision. Better job offers, better terms, better opportunities. Because the people on the other side of every negotiation can sense whether you need the deal or whether you want it. Needing a deal is the weakest possible negotiating position. Wanting a deal from a position of stability is an entirely different conversation. The money follows you because having a base changes how you operate in every situation where money changes hands. And that compounds over time in ways that are real even when they are difficult to fully calculate. Here is where most people ruin this, and I have watched it happen more times than I can count in 56 years of watching how money moves. They hit $100,000. They feel the shift. And then they spend it. A new car because they deserve it after the discipline it took to get here. A renovation that stretches further than planned. A lifestyle upgrade that feels proportionate to the milestone they just crossed. And suddenly, the base is gone. Not all of it, but enough of it that the compound interest drops back below the threshold where it feels real. The risk tolerance recalibration partially reverses. The cognitive load returns. The negotiating position weakens again. They are back below the threshold that changes everything. And getting back above it the second time is, in my experience, significantly harder than getting there the first time. Because the second time, you know exactly what you gave up. And that knowledge makes every sacrifice feel heavier. $100,000 is not a reward for your financial discipline. It is the starting line for a completely different relationship with money. Treat it like a finish line, and you will spend the next several years running the same race again. That account, that number you worked years to see. It just became the most important financial asset you have ever owned. Not because of what it is worth today, because of what it is capable of becoming if you understand what actually just happened when you crossed it. The kitchen table is still the same. The commute home is still the same. Your lunch break looks exactly like it did this morning. The math underneath all of it just changed completely.